Jason Cole had just parked his motorcycle outside the old roadside cafe when he saw her. A little girl, no more than 8, stood alone by the curb clutching a worn-out teddy bear. Her eyes were red, her face streaked with tears. Something was terribly wrong. Jason, leader of the Steel Guardians Biker Club, was used to riding into broken situations and making them better, but this felt different. He walked toward her slowly, speaking gently, "Hey there, little one. Are you lost?" She shook her head, gripping her bear even tighter. "My stepfather, he wants to take me away. I don't want to go." Her voice trembled with fear. Jason got down on one knee to meet her eyes. His club members, all rough in appearance but soft-hearted, watched from their bikes. She handed him a crumpled court document, temporary custody granted to the stepfather. Jason's jaw tightened. There were whispers in town of a man with a temper, of a child who didn't smile anymore. A silent understanding passed between the bikers. With no hesitation, Jason signaled to the group. They surrounded the girl, not threatening but forming a protective circle. Whatever happened next, they would stand with her. One of the bikers, Bear, once a well-respected lawyer before taking to the open road, took the custody paper from Jason and began examining it closely. Another rider, Dawn, knelt beside the girl with a careful smile. "What's your name, sweetheart?" she asked. "Lacey," the girl whispered. Dawn nodded and gently brushed a strand of hair from her face. "You're safe with us now." Bear pulled out his phone and stepped aside to make urgent calls. Meanwhile, the rest of the Steel Guardians subtly formed a barrier between Lacey and the road. Moments later, a black pickup truck screeched to a halt nearby. A heavy-set man with a scruffy beard stormed out. "Lacey," he yelled, pointing in their direction, "get over here now." The girl hid behind Jason, trembling. Jason stood up, calm but firm. "Not today," he said. The man shoved forward. "I've got the court's papers, she's mine," he barked. But Bear returned just then, phone pressed to his ear, and said loud enough for the man to hear, "Child Services is on their way. So are the cops." The bikers tightened their wall as the man's face twisted with frustration. For Lacey, hope arrived on 2 wheels that day. Rick's face flushed with anger as more bikers arrived, summoned by a quick alert from Jason. Engines roared softly, but their presence was imposing, a silent warning. He stepped closer, trying to intimidate, but the bikers stood firm, arms crossed, eyes unyielding. Jason remained calm, keeping a steady voice. "She isn't going anywhere until the authorities arrive," he said, his tone leaving no room for argument. Lacey clung to Dawn, tears streaming down her face. Within minutes, a police cruiser and a social worker arrived. Rick tried to argue, waving the custody papers, claiming they gave him full rights. The officer listened carefully and then glanced at the bikers surrounding the girl. Their stance wasn't aggressive, but protective, signaling seriousness. Dawn handed over the documents while explaining Lacey's fear and previous incidents with Rick. The social worker knelt beside Lacey, gently asking questions, allowing her to speak freely. "I'm scared of him," she whispered, barely audible. Nearby, a neighbor, who had observed the man's treatment of the girl, stepped forward and confirmed the child's claims. The officer nodded and made the decision swiftly. Rick was taken into custody for questioning, and Lacey was placed into protective care. The bikers stayed close, silently watching, knowing they had done the right thing. That day, they hadn't just protected a child, they had shielded her from fear itself. After that day at the cafe, the Steel Guardians stayed closely involved in Lacey's life. They checked in regularly with Child Services and attended every court hearing, quietly offering support and encouragement. Dawn became a consistent presence, visiting her in the foster home with small gifts, books, and stories from the road, helping Lacey feel safe and cared for. The club also pooled resources to ensure she had proper legal representation, making sure her stepfather could not manipulate the system again. Months passed, and Lacey's mother completed her rehab program. When she appeared in court, clean and determined, the judge approved a reunification plan. With character references from Jason and other trusted community members, mother and daughter were given a chance to rebuild their lives. A few years later, Lacey returned to the same cafe, holding a drawing she had made, herself on a motorcycle, surrounded by a protective circle of bikers. She handed it to Jason with a shy but bright smile, a symbol of gratitude and trust. The video of that day eventually surfaced online, going viral and inspiring countless people. News outlets called the Steel Guardians unlikely heroes, but Jason always shrugged. "We just do what's right," he said. For Lacey, they had been more than heroes, they had been her shield, her family, and the reason her life could finally feel safe again.